Hey guys, welcome to Red Devils United. I'm John and we are in for some FA Cup action. This is United versus Watford, and it's going to be hopefully a cracking game with an unusual but not unlikely lineup. I was actually trying to put in the lineup myself, but honestly, I actually didn't have Daniel James in my selections at all because he's awful, and nor did I have Lingard because I hoped he had played his last game for United ever, and C'est la vie, they're both playing. So Jesse Lingard and James most likely both flanking Greenwood up top. We do see Van der Beek getting his first start, and we have a back two, I think for the first time without Maguire. Since Maguire signed, we have Bali and Twinzabi, which I actually think could be a fantastic back two. But of course, the game time that these two have had together is severely lacking. But it could be all about this man today, Donny van der Beek. We really want to be able to see how he plays, whether or not he puts in a performance. He's with a makeshift team. Let's not forget that. You know, the big thing about today is Donny van der Beek he's not playing with Bruno, he's not playing with Matic, he's not playing with Fred, he's not playing with Pogba, and he doesn't have Rashford and Martial and Cavani running in front of him, you know. He might find it difficult playing in a team where, you know, he's got Lingard and James, who, let's be honest, are not the best, and then he has Greenwood. So I mean, you know, it could work though. You know, I don't think Watford, obviously they're not a Premier League side, but yeah, no, it's going to be very tough for Van der Beek. I mean, he's in this to try and work his way into the first team in league games, especially in games that matter. You know, games when, you know, we're playing Burnley. You know, not a big side, but a big game, because if we win, we go top of the league, clear on 3 points. The game as well, you know, is before the match v Liverpool, which is going to be huge, because if we beat Burnley and then we beat Liverpool, we're on top by 6 points, and we're ahead of City, who I believe are our closest rivals, by 7 points. But if we lose or draw with Burnley and then we lose to Liverpool, we actually might find ourselves way back. You know, we fall third or fourth depending on how other results go. We could even fall out of the top four, dropping 6 points like that. You know, you'd have to have a quick look at the league table to see where we would go if we were to drop those two games. So, you know, Burnley and sorry, just text coming in from some of the lads, and they're talking about the lineup. They're saying there's definitely a game on now with that lineup. But we'll wait and see, guys. We'll wait and see. If you are watching live, please throw something into the chat. We will have it open, and we will hear what anybody has to say, and we'll read it out. But yes, getting back to the lineup itself. Henderson in goal, that's fine by me. Great keeper. I mean, let's just look at it. I mean, McTominay is the only person to keep his starting place that played in the Man City game. Like, when you think about it, that is 10 changes. Now, you name any other team in the Premiership that can make 10 changes and still have what I would consider a very, very good team. Now, minus Lingard and James, to be honest. But the defence for me, Telles, Bali, Twinzabi and Williams, it's a very, very strong defence for individual players. You know, Williams, you know, he broke through last year. He hasn't had much game time. But he's a good lad. Twinzabi was fantastic, phenomenal against PSG. Bali has been brilliant in the last few games he's played. And Telles is great at left full, while Shaw is probably just kind of pipping him for the defensive side of his game. The thing that, you know, you have to look at, we have to keep in mind when we're watching this, is that they haven't played together. So, you know, obviously they train together, obviously they work together, but they haven't played in a match together. Not this entire back four and back five, including the keeper. So it'll be very interesting to see how they handle the game, how they handle balls over the top or cross-ins, something we're very susceptible to when we're playing with Lindelof and Maguire. So that'll be really interesting. Then we got McTominay. He's shielding the back two with Mata and Van der Beek, I imagine, in a midfield three, but I could be wrong. Lingard may drop and James may play high up with Greenwood, but I imagine it'll be Greenwood flanked by Lingard and James, and then a midfield three behind them: Van der Beek, Mata, and McTominay. Which could nearly shift into a 4-5-1 with Lingard and James kind of dropping a bit and making that a 5-man midfield. But ultimately, I think it will be 4-3-3. But let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think of the lineup. I know this is the official lineup that's being brought out. Sky have called it, and obviously when you look at it, I haven't seen the bench. Let me take a quick look, but I imagine the bench is absolutely ridiculous. We have Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Matic, Fred, Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, N'Golo. Right, so N'Golo makes the bench, Pogba doesn't. That's a strange one. I mean, N'Golo's gone. Might as well put Pogba on the bench. Of course, I'm not sure in the FA Cup whether you can make 5 subs. But if you can, obviously we don't need Wan-Bissaka, we don't need Maguire unless there's injuries. So of course, in regards to changing a game, Fred, Fernandes, or Bruno, Martial and Rashford. That's 4 players that can come on and really change the game. So extremely strong bench. But obviously Cavani still suspended, Pogba being rested. It's great to see Bruno getting a rest. Absolutely, I think he needs a rest. He looked dead on his feet against City. He was making stupid decisions. He was trying to force play. He really stopped doing the simple things, and it's great to see him getting a rest. He really needs it. Pogba getting a rest is great. Martial and Rashford, it's also good to give them a rest, especially coming up to what I said was 2 good or 2 big Premier League games following this FA Cup tie. But this is going to be a difficult game. Wait and see here. We haven't got anybody in the chat. Your chat is live, boys. So if you do want to write something in, we'll read it out. We can have a bit of a conversation back and forth. Let me know what your predictions are for today's game. I think, considering the opposition and the team, this playing for places only works if you put people in a match, and when they do well, you reward them with game time. You can't play Bali and Twinzabi and then get a clean sheet, but then immediately play Lindelof and Maguire against Burnley and Liverpool. If Bali and Twinzabi get a clean sheet, I'd play them against Burnley. And if they get a clean sheet again, I'd play them against Liverpool. You've got to reward players for good performances. There's no point in putting Van der Beek out here, Greenwood, Mata, and then if they play well, if they have a great game, and then all of a sudden they're dropped again. So it'll be interesting to see what the next team selection is for Burnley. But if these players have a great game and they're dropped again, then they're not really playing for places. They're just playing to play football. And Ole already has a premeditated team for each match in his head, which is also fine. I was watching a Sheringham kind of documentary today on Sky Sports. Very interesting. He said he played in the FA Cup final, and he scored a goal. He set up the second. He said he played in the last game in the Premier League. He had a great game, and he really thought he had a chance to make the starting 11 for the game against Bayern Munich in the finals. And Fergie pulled him aside and said, you won't be in that game. And Fergie had his mind made up on that, weeks before the game itself. So it didn't matter how well Teddy Sheringham had played. He wasn't getting a game in that final in the starting 11. Which ultimately worked for us because he came on and scored the equaliser, and then Ole, the great man himself, scored the winner. But it's not unusual for a manager to have, look, this is the team I'm playing, providing everyone is fit. This is who I'm playing v Burnley. This is who I'm playing v Liverpool. So the guys might not be playing for a place in the team, but they definitely need to give the manager something to think about, and that requires putting in a great performance. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, United. I think they're well capable of 2 or 3 goals. Whether or not they can keep a clean sheet is going to be very, very interesting, considering this makeshift back four, in a sense that I don't think they've ever played together before as a unit. So that will be really interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, guys, let me know what your predictions are there. Love to know what you're thinking. You know, this game it's the first game we played since the City semi-final defeat, which was a serious kick in the nuts. You know, I thought everybody said United played all right in that game, and then they lost to the better team. I don't disagree that they lost to the better team, but I think they played shit. I think they played completely within themselves. I think whenever they got the ball, they lost it, not through great work by City, not through even great closing down by City, but simply unforced errors, terrible judgment on passes, terrible execution on passes, really, really bad play all round from literally or nearly every single individual United player on the pitch. Rashford was shocking, running offside every 5 seconds. Martial was just shocking and lazy. Maguire was horrendous at the back and caused the goal. Now, he did have a good all-round game before the goal, but there's no point as a centre-half playing well and then being the cause, the direct cause of a goal. Doesn't wash. If you're going, like, you can be literally the best player on the pitch, getting ready for man of the match, and if you cause the goal that loses the game, fuck it, you're done. Terrible game. You know, they were both, I think Bruno was probably the worst player on the pitch, which is why I'm glad to see him rested. But, you know, people say we played alright against City and we just lost. I think we played awful and lost. You know, if the first goal doesn't go in, then maybe we have a chance to nick it, but we shouldn't be trying to nick it. You know, we've played City, in the last 3 games, we've beaten them twice or 3 times. Forget the draw, the last one. But like last season, you know, we played them 2 or 3 times and we won 2 or 3 games. You know, we've been fantastic against City in recent times. The draw, obviously this season, was a snore draw. Neither team really tried to win that game. And it seems like City learned their lesson from that. And they went to try and win this game in the Carabao Cup, whereas United just said to themselves, they just went to play the same way. They didn't try and win it. So we'll wait and see. Obi-Wan K, who's Deco, jumps on. He says, hey, got on a bit late, fighting a bit of a cold. Didn't see the team, but hopefully this should be a straightforward win. Deco, I will just show you, there's nothing going to be straightforward about this. Why, you ask? Daniel James is starting. I'll just let that marinate. You know, see what your reply is to that. In case you didn't hear me, I'll just say Daniel James is starting. Yeah. But there you go, just to go through the team, we have a back 4. We're playing with a back 4. Henderson is in goal, but the back 4 is a completely new back 4 that have never played with each other before. And I'll tell you what, I like our centre-half pairing. It's Bali and Munzabi. Neither Lindelof or Maguire are playing in defence for what I imagine is the first time in, well, I think since either of them were signed. You know, Bali and Tuanzebe starting in the back, with Williams on the right full position and Tellez on the left. So a back 4 that's never played with each other. But I like Tellez, I love Bali, and I like Tuanzebe. Williams is new, he's young, he's a kid. But we have got, obviously, we have Maguire's on the bench, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's on the bench. There's plenty of people there if things are going awry defensively. Our midfield is also a makeshift midfield. McTominay playing that holding position. We've got Mata, who's obviously, you know, great player. If not a bit slow, but his passing, his control, his composure is always something to watch. And then we got Van der Beek starting, and it's a huge game for Van der Beek. He wants to impress Ole, he wants to show what he can do, and he's probably one of the few players that, if he does play well, could push his way into the team with regards to the Burnley game and the Liverpool game, and all the games coming up thick and fast. Whereas I think if Mata plays brilliant, I think if James plays brilliant, if Lingard plays brilliant, I don't think that matters one little bit. They will never get a sniff of the first team in the Premiership with regards to like Liverpool or the Burnley game. But Van der Beek definitely could. So could Greenwood. So the midfield trio there, Deco, of McTominay, Mata, with Van der Beek, and then the front three of what I imagine is Lingard on the left, Greenwood and James on the right, or James on the left, Greenwood and Lingard on the right. But either way, very, very, very makeshift team. We literally, McTominay is the only survivor from the Carabao Cup game with City I was talking about earlier. So we've made 10 changes. The bench is obviously strong now. We have Bruno's on the bench, Fred's on the bench, Matic, Martial, Rashford, and we've got Cavani suspended, Pogba getting completely rested from the squad altogether. So I have to say, massive rest for big players. Jason Kyo's on. He's asking, is the match on TV? Jay, I think it's on Sky, but I may be completely wrong. Bear with me. I'm just going in. I'm going to just check here and have a little look. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock. Tonight's ref is Andrew Medley. But is it live on Sky? That's a good question. I'm just going to go into the Sky Go app, and we will have a look and see what the TV guide is telling us in regards to the sports channels. So what are we looking at here? Browse all channels, sports. So we have it's live on BT Sports 1. Live on BT Sports 1 right now. Jay may have beat me to it. Thanks, Jay. Cheers for that. Yes, live on BT. You're right. So we'll be watching that. It's starting in roughly 10 minutes. So we've only got 5-6 minutes left of the video, guys. Let me know in your chat window there, what are your predictions? I'm going for 2-0 United. I'm looking for, you can't exactly say a response to the City game and getting knocked out of the Carabao Cup, because none of these players except McTominay played in that match. So I'm not looking for a response from these players. What I am looking for is these players to go out and play with zero fear. They don't need to play within themselves. They don't need to sit back and absorb pressure. They don't need to worry about Watford the way we did City. These are players who have complete freedom to go and just play football and do what they want. Flicks, tricks, and shots on goal. That's all you can ask of them, because most of them won't get back into the team for the Burnley and Liverpool game. So for them, it's a chance to play 11-a-side football at Old Trafford in an FA Cup and go out with completely no fear. And because of that, I think a 2-0 win to Man United. Love to know what your thoughts are. Love to know what your score predictions are. Jason Kyo, can't wait for the big game. I'll be in touch if we win. But if we lose, don't text me ever. Jason Kyo, referring to the Liverpool game. Jay, it's going to be a huge game. And not just because it's a top-of-the-table clash with both teams. Well, at present, both teams on the same points. But if we beat Burnley, we go 3 points above you. So that game becomes even more pressured for Liverpool, because winning it will only allow you to catch up with us. But losing it will, it could allow you to drop 6 points behind United. And when you look at Liverpool's form, like in the league, United are undefeated in 9-10 games. They've won most of them. Liverpool, I don't know exactly when they drew with Fulham and West Brom, but even recently, the draw with Newcastle of all teams, and 0-0. You can't blame that on a defensive injury. You had a full midfield, you've got a full complement of strikers, and you had one shot on goal, I think, and it ended 0-0. Oh no, actually not Newcastle, but it ended 0-0. But you had one shot on goal against Southampton, a game in which you lost. So yeah, Liverpool's form is extremely iffy coming into this game, and it's exactly the kind of game that could really kickstart Liverpool's season and get them flying if they manage to get a win and 3 points. But if they play as badly as they have, and if they make the defensive mistakes they've been making, where teams like I don't know who it was, Brighton were getting through with every single chance they had, they just kept getting through. They kept leaving gaps within the defence, through balls behind Trent, balls in behind the centre halves or through the centre halves. If you make those mistakes against Rashford and Martial and Bruno and Pogba, if he starts, United could run riot. They could win 2-3-4-0. But obviously that might not happen. I mean, form goes out the window when a game like this comes up. We'll wait and see. Rob Fox, a lovely, intelligent, compassionate debate from Rob Fox. Liverpool shybags. JKO did say, yeah, it's going to be a massive. We haven't been great, but I'm sure it will be a very good game. I imagine it'll be a very good game. I'm hoping it's not too tentative. United have a 3-point cushion. You lose the game, all you do is catch up with us. If we beat Burnley, we give ourselves a 3-point cushion, and that should really allow us to go out with a bit more freedom against Liverpool than we would otherwise. So Burnley game is huge for us, but if we lose to Burnley, that Liverpool game's on a knife edge, and I can see United sitting back within themselves, inviting pressure on and trying to catch them on the break. But if we beat Burnley, and if we create a 3-point gap, I think we should play with slightly more freedom. It'd be interesting. I can't wait to do, and that game I'd love to just get a Liverpool fan on for the pre-match game talk before that match, and I think I will. I think I'm going to do a pre-match game talk with a Liverpool fan to see what they think of their lineup, what we think of each other's lineup, what we think the scores are going to be. So if anybody knows a Liverpool fan who would like to join on the pre-match show to discuss that, let me know. Evening, Rob Fox. Great to have you in with us. Really, really appreciate you joining live. Robert Fox says, let's not look too far ahead. We have a match. We were mucked the other day. Yorkie, please. Absolutely. That's the one I was referring to, Jay. Absolutely. Rob Fox, you're right. We were mucked the other day. And I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that, because so many pundits keep talking about United were playing okay. I thought United were tripe. I thought off the ball they were chasing shadows. They never pressed together. They pressed, one man pressed the guy on the ball, and we never pressed the options around that guy, so they just kept passing it around us, and our lads were chasing shadows. And on the very, very rare occasions we won the ball back, we just gave it away with stupidity, rubbish decisions and executions of passes, sometimes simple passes, and we just kept giving possession back and then started chasing shadows. Our team must have been shattered from just the running off the ball they had to do. I thought we were awful in that game. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So, I mean, this match today, it's obviously not a chance. It's not a chance to redeem themselves. It's not a chance to turn that around, because none of the players, except McTominay, are actually playing in this match. We have 10 changes. So, the Burnley game is really the game we need to look towards. For Bruno, for Maguire, for Rashford and Martial, for all those players and Pogba to turn it around. If they're starting against Burnley, then that's the game where those players can turn it around and turn the screw into Liverpool a little bit by getting a 3-point gap before we actually play them. Rob Fox says, get Teddy Stokes on. I don't know if Teddy Stokes will be able to work a computer, Rob, in order to come on. What I'd have to do is bring someone on via a Zoom call, because I was hoping we would do the Liverpool game in Rob Fox's the Red Devils den, and maybe have somebody on live and then do a watch along for the game, where we record the show with all of the United fans who are watching it live on the big screen. We could do a watch along, and that's not going to happen in this match. Definitely, if Rob would have us, I'd definitely do that for another big game. But obviously with the COVID restrictions that are in place, the lockdown that Ireland and Dublin and Newbridge are currently in, we can't do that. So Yorkie said he'll do it. Text him. Excellent. So if Yorkie, a big massive Liverpool fan, wants to join in and have respectful debate, have a good bit of banter, we can talk about Liverpool's starting lineup when the match is on. We'll talk about our starting lineup, and then we'll talk about what score predictions are, what we think of each other's season so far, and then obviously Yorkie can then join for the post-match review, which I'll be doing whether Liverpool win or not. So really, it's just a case of whether or not Yorkie will join us if Liverpool were to lose. Let's see if that's the case. So Rob Fox says 100% we will do it for a big game. Excellent. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. Yorkie says 100%. So we have our first ever Liverpool guest on the show, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'm going to create that event very early, and we will get everybody we can watching it. We will do probably an hour show where we can debate the two teams, and that'll be good fun. Can't get Yorkie. He is named after a chocolate bar. All right, very good, very good. Right, guys, kidding aside, Liverpool match obviously down the road. We get back to today's game. I'm saying 2-0 Man United versus Watford. Throw your predictions in the chat box. Thanks very much for everyone who joined live. Really appreciate it. It helps me do a better show because you got people to talk back and forth with. You got a little bit of content that you can add to the show, so I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave it there. Get ready to watch the game. Have a good one, and join me live, please, for the post-match review at 10:05. So straight after today's game, we'll do a post-match reaction. Join me live, and Yorkie, you join live too. We can have more to talk about that Liverpool game that we'll do together. Until then, I will see you later, boys.
Glory, glory, Man United! Glory, glory, Man United! Glory, glory, Man United, as the Reds go marching on. Welcome to Old Trafford, it's the better of our dreams, the power and the glory of the Stretford End will sing.